Hello dear students, welcome to my next lecture on sociolinguistics. It has been long since I sent you a lecture on Google Classroom. All of us were busy with COVID survey in the last few days, hence none of us could conduct lectures online. But I resume my lectures from today and hopefully I shall send you a lecture every day in the next 4 or 5 days because your first internal examination will be in the next week. The exam carries 20 marks for each paper. I shall let you know the syllabus of the internal examination soon, but you can guess that the syllabus for the first internal examination for this paper is unit number 1, sociolinguistics. But I shall also try to finish or to teach some topics from unit 2 as well, so that I can conduct the examination for 20 marks. So I'm sending you this lecture today. I shall also send the lecture tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So please attend these lectures. Please go through the lectures carefully. Some of you are doing really well. Sanjay is taking down notes and sending those notes on WhatsApp group, on Google Classroom. That's good. Komal Deshmukh is also very keen to study the topics in sociolinguistics. Asavri and others are also doing well. So keep it up and study well. Attend these lectures carefully. So let us go ahead. So this is unit number 1. This is the syllabus of sociolinguistics. In sociolinguistics, let us quickly see what we have finished so far. We have finished regional dialects, social dialects or sociolects. Idiolects is remained. Then I also spoke about formal and informal styles, also about registers. Today I shall talk about standard and non-standard varieties, and I shall talk about language contact, that is code switching, code mixing, pidgins, creoles and borrowing, etc. So these are the topics which I am planning to finish today. Now let us go ahead. Let us start studying standard and non-standard varieties of a language. So every language has standard and non-standard varieties. So if you take a language, it has mainly two varieties, standard variety and non-standard variety. Now when we studied dialects, I told you that every language has dialects. Each language has two or more than two dialects. If a language has dialects, one dialect of the language gets importance, and that dialect is recognized as the standard language or the standard dialect of the language. So standard language is nothing but a dialect of the language which has been recognized by the speakers of the language as the standard form of the language. So as I told you, Pune Marathi has been considered as standard variety of Marathi. So Pune Marathi acquires the status of standard language if we consider Marathi as a language, and then other varieties of Marathi are considered as dialects, or they are also called as non-standard varieties of the language. Now if we consider English has basically again two varieties, standard English and non-standard English. Non-standard English. Now under standard English, basically there are two varieties of English, British English and American English. This is very rare because every language has only one standard variety and the other varieties are considered as non-standard varieties. Now here there are many non-standard varieties of English. For example, Indian English, Singapore English, African English, Australian English, etc. These varieties are considered as non-standard varieties of English. Now let us talk about standard English. Why there are two varieties of standard English? Now we can easily explain why British English is standard variety of English. It is because English, the language, was originated in England. It is the language of the British, and therefore the the British variety of English has acquired the importance, or has acquired the stature of standard English. Why it is considered as standard English? Because basically English is the language of the British. It is the language of England. The language was originated in England, and naturally the language acquires importance. Hence, we consider British English as standard variety of English. But then again, the question arises: all the varieties spoken in England or spoken in Britain are considered as standard varieties? The answer is no. The Southeast English, that is London English, also called as BBC English, is considered as standard variety of English. So, as Marathi has several dialects, English also has several dialects in England. We saw some of those dialects. Now, out of these many dialects in England, certain dialect acquires the importance, certain dialect acquires the status of standard variety of the dialect, standard variety of the language, and that is Southeast English, London English. I told you that generally the language spoken at the capital of a state or of a country is the standard variety of the language. Now, London is the capital of England. London has, in London you find the educated and elite class. Since it is the capital of England, you find the rich people, the royalty staying in England. The number of higher educated people are more in England than any other parts of England, are more in London than any other parts, than any other people living in England. So London has educated people, then royalty stays in London, near London, and hence there are several job opportunities in London. Then some renowned universities are found in London, and some best educational institutions are in London, and therefore London English is considered as standard variety of English. So British English is, when I say British English is standard variety of English, I mean the Southeast English or London English is considered as the standard variety of English. Then again, why American variety or why American English is considered as standard variety of English? Now, if you just take a dictionary, every dictionary tells you two things, or every dictionary tells you, for example, two kinds of pronunciations: British pronunciation and American pronunciations. Then, if you type COLOUR on computer, so if you open a Word file and if you just type COLOUR on MS Office, Microsoft Office, and you will realize that the Microsoft Office shows COLOR as a wrong spelling because Microsoft is basically an American company. So it shows COLOR as the correct spelling of color. Now these things happen because America is one of the most important, one of the most powerful countries in the world. America is the strongest country in the world, and therefore the variety or the language spoken by Americans naturally acquires importance. So if you could speak American English, you can get jobs, you will have better prospects in life, and you will be accepted in American universities if you wish to study in America. So, why American English is considered as standard variety of English? Because America is the strongest country militarily and economically, it is the strongest country in the world. So, the reason is basically social, political, and economic. Let us assume that after 500 years or maybe after 100 years, India becomes the strongest country in the world, the most important country in the world, the richest country in the world, militarily the most powerful country in the world, a country which will offer jobs to other citizens of the nations. Then naturally people from all over the world will study Indian English. Nowadays, as you know, many people wish to learn Chinese because if you learn Chinese, you will have better prospects in life. You can get education in China, or you can get a job in China, a job which will give you a handsome income or handsome salary. So, all these things are important when we say that American English is standard variety of English. Why there are two standard varieties of English? Because first is, a logical reason. English is the language of the England. English is the language of England. English is the language of the British. And second reason is social, political, and economic reason. America, the strongest country, richest country, and therefore American variety of English has been considered as standard variety of English. Now, as you know, English is spoken by so many people in the world. Almost every English is a lingua franca. English connects people from different countries. English is an international language. It is spoken all over the world. In India, English is one of the official languages. So, because of political reasons, we have accepted the language and it has become the part of the national languages. So, like Hindi, Marathi, and other languages, English is also one of the languages spoken or used by Indians. But is Indian English a standard variety of English? Is Singapore English a standard variety of English? African English, Australian English, Canadian English, etc. These are all non standard varieties of English. Now, what is the difference between standard and non standard variety? When I say non standard, what does it mean? Now, non standard does not mean wrong, first of all. Uh, Please make this distinction clear between standard and non-standard variety of language. Now this is true for every language. I am just giving you example of English. Non-standard does not mean wrong. Indian English does not mean when I say Indian English is a non-standard variety of English, I don't mean that Indians speak wrong English. Grammatically, Indian English is very close to the British English, or grammatically, Indian English is, it is perfect Indians speak grammatically correct English. When they write English, they don't commit mistakes, etc. So grammatically, um, we we have perfected the style of the British. Since British ruled us, we have accepted British English and we have mastered the language. But there are some problems with pronunciation and vocabulary. For example, many North Indians pronounce this word as school. They don't call it as school. Now, this is because of their pull of mother tongue. In Hindi or in Punjabi, sk or sp consonants do not co-occur. So they have to add e before it, and therefore they cannot say school, but they say school. So non-standard simply means there are some differences in vocabulary, in pronunciation, and sometimes in grammar. For example, there are um, different types of verbs. When I taught you verbs, I gave you different kinds of verbs. For example, regular verbs, irregular verb, then stative, dynamic, etc. Now, some verbs in English never take ing form. Most of the verbs in English take ing form, but some verbs like, love, welcome, etc., they do not take ing form. Every verb has 5 forms. Every verb has a root form. You can have the past tense of the verb, past participle of the verb. Then you can add s or es participle to the verb, and you can add ing to the verb. So if you take a verb like go, you have the root verb go, went, past tense, gone, past participle, goes. By adding s or es participle, you can make goes, and you can add ing to the verb, and you can say going. So every verb has 5 forms in English, but there are some verbs which never take ing form. So like is such a verb. You cannot say I am liking chocolates. Like is a permanent state, and therefore according to British English, I am liking chocolates is grammatically incorrect sentence or grammatically unacceptable sentence. I mean, in standard English it is not accepted. So you would better say I like chocolates. I welcome you, not I am welcoming you. So Indians use stative verbs dynamically. Stative verbs are the verbs which never take ing form. But Indians use stative verbs dynamically, that is, they add ing to all the verbs. So, in order to translate I welcome you, or in order to translate मैं आपका स्वागत करता हूँ, मी तुमचं स्वागत करत आहे किंवा करतो, हे इंग्लिशमध्ये ट्रान्सलेट करताना अनेक अँकर्स असं म्हणतात आय एम वेलकमिंग यू, विच इज अगेन unacceptable in English. So in non-standard variety, how non-standard variety is different from स्टँडर्ड व्हरायटी, मी तुम्हाला काय एक्सप्लेन करत आहे की स्टँडर्ड व्हरायटी आणि नॉन स्टँडर्ड व्हरायटीमध्ये काय फरक असतो. मी इंग्लिशचं एक्झाम्पल घेऊन सांगत आहे. तर नॉन स्टँडर्ड व्हरायटीचं समटाईम्स vocabulary is different, sometimes pronunciations are different from standard variety, and sometimes there are deviation in grammar. व्होकॅब्लरीचं एक्झाम्पल मी तुम्हाला सांगतो. प्रोनन्सिएशनचं मी सांगितलं, ग्रामरचं प्रोनन्सिएशनचं सांगितलं एक्झाम्पल मी स्कूलचं, स्कूल इस्कूल. ग्रामर I just told you, stative verbs are used dynamically. Then again, sometimes non-standard variety, non-standard variety is spoken in countries where people have a different mother tongue. For example, in Maharashtra, many people speak English, but their mother tongue is Marathi. So, most of the time there is influence of mother tongue over their English, and therefore sometimes they use strange phrases. Generally they translate the phrases into English. For example, many writers or some writers have used this phrase in their novels. I went to eat air outside. Eat air outside. Now, for a British person, this sentence is strange. A British person will not understand this sentence because I went to eat air outside. What is eating air? मी हवा खायला बाहेर गेलो होतो. हे मराठीचं जसंच्या तसं ट्रान्सलेशन इंग्लिशमध्ये केल्यामुळं हे वाक्य अशा पद्धतीने तयार झालेलं आहे. आय वेंट टू ईट एअर आउटसाइड. नाव a Maharashtrian will easily understand this sentence, but a native speaker of English will have problem in understanding the sentence. So this is again the deviation from the norm, deviation from the standard variety. So this is again an example in which you will find the literal translation of the mother tongue into English. So in non-standard variety, such things happen, and therefore that variety is considered as, or that variety is not recognized as a variety which you can use to teach others. For example, if you want to learn English, if someone wants to learn English, then the person will be taught either British English or American English. The person will never be taught Indian English because of these reasons. Because no, Indian English is different from British English in vocabulary, in grammar, in pronunciation, and there is pull of mother tongue in Indian English. बहुसंख्य भारतीय हे मुळात त्यांची मातृभाषा वेगळी असल्यामुळं ज्यावेळी ते इंग्रजी शिकतात, बोलतात, त्यावेळी त्यांच्या इंग्रजीवर त्यांच्या मातृभाषेचा परिणाम झालेला असतो. Therefore, when they speak or when they write English, sometimes, not all the time, consciously or unconsciously, they literally translate the words, phrases in their mother tongue into English, which the native speakers of English will find difficult in understanding. Got it? So this is how non-standard variety is different from स्टँडर्ड व्हरायटी ऑफ इंग्लिश. जसं की मी मगाशी म्हणालो की अमेरिका रिचेस्ट कंट्री आहे. अमेरिका मिलिटरीली पॉवरफुल आहे. म्हणजे बघा की if you go to Pune or in big cities, in metropolitan cities, and if your English is good, you can get a job at call centers. You must have heard about call center jobs. At call center jobs, what are you taught? You are taught either British English or American English. If you wish to work for an American company, the company first of all gives you training in American English. So they teach you American pronunciations, the way Americans speak English, etc. Now, why do Indian students learn American English or American accent rather? They learn American accent because if they have proper American accent, they will get a good job quite easily. This is how, or this is the reason why people in the world learn American variety of English, which is slightly different from British English. कारण बेसिकली जे अमेरिकन इंग्लिश आहे किंवा अमेरिकेत जे लोक आहेत, गोरे लोक, आज आपल्याला अमेरिकेतले गोरे लोक दिसतात, दे बेसिकली केम फ्रॉम युरोप. मोस्ट ऑफ देम केम फ्रॉम ब्रिटन. सो नॅचरली दे ऑल्सो ब्रॉट देअर लँग्वेज दॅट इज इंग्लिश इन अमेरिका. पण काही वर्ड्स अमेरिकन इंग्लिशमध्ये किंवा समटाईम्स द ग्रामर इज बिट डिफरंट फ्रॉम ब्रिटिश इंग्लिश. अमेरिकन इंग्लिश अँड ब्रिटिश इंग्लिश आर नॉट व्हेरी डिफरंट फ्रॉम वन अनदर. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, जसं की अमेरिकन इंग्लिश आणि ब्रिटिश इंग्लिशमध्ये काही व्होकॅब्युलरीमध्ये फरक आहे. ज्याला ब्रिटिश इंग्लिशमध्ये टॅप म्हणतात, पाण्याचा जो नळ असतो, त्यालाच अमेरिकन इंग्लिशमध्ये फॉसेट म्हणतात. किंवा ब्रिटिश इंग्लिशमध्ये ज्याला फ्युएल म्हणतात, गाडीत आपण जे भरतो पेट्रोल डिझेल, त्याला अमेरिकेत गॅस म्हणतात. किंवा लिफ्ट, एलिव्हेटर, हा एक तुम्हाला डिफरन्स माहिती असेल. ब्रिटिश इंग्लिशमध्ये लिफ्ट म्हणतात, अमेरिकन इंग्लिशमध्ये एलिव्हेटर म्हणतात. उंच इमारतींमध्ये जी असते ना, त्याला म्हणायचं आपण लिफ्ट म्हणतो, अमेरिकन इंग्लिशमध्ये एलिव्हेटर म्हणतात. तर असे काही मायनर डिफरन्सेस ब्रिटिश इंग्लिश आणि अमेरिकन इंग्लिशमध्ये आहेत. तर या काही गोष्टींमुळे अमेरिकन इंग्लिश हे ब्रिटिश इंग्लिशपेक्षा वेगळं आहे. बट दिस इज बेसिकली the difference between standard variety of English and non-standard variety of English. Every language has one standard variety. The exception is English. English has two standard varieties, and generally the variety spoken or used at the capital of the country is considered as the standard variety of the language. That variety of language is used in media, it is used in textbooks, it is used to teach the language to others, or it is the variety which is used to teach language to non-native speakers. So suppose anyone wishes to learn Marathi, we will teach him Pune Marathi. We will teach him sentences like तू काय करत आहेस, किंवा मी जाते, स्त्रियांसाठी, मुलींसाठी मी जाते असंच आपण शिकू. तू काय करू राहिलास, किंवा मुलींनी मी जातो असं आपण कोणालाही शिकवणार नाही, कारण ती प्रमाण भाषा नव्हे. तर स्टँडर्ड लँग्वेज म्हणजे काय? प्रमाण भाषा, की जी भाषा प्रमाण मानली गेलेली आहे, ज्या भाषेला महत्त्व प्राप्त झालेलं आहे, जी भाषा वर्तमानपत्रांमध्ये, मीडियामध्ये वापरली जाते, ज्या भाषेमध्ये बोलणं हे प्रतिष्ठेचं समजलं जातं, व्याकरणाच्या दृष्टीने ते योग्य मानलं जातं, ती भाषा म्हणजे स्टँडर्ड व्हरायटी. सो दिस इज अबाउट स्टँडर्ड लँग्वेज अँड नॉन स्टँडर्ड लँग्वेज, स्टँडर्ड अँड नॉन स्टँडर्ड व्हरायटीज ऑफ इंग्लिश. स्टँडर्ड लँग्वेज बघा, स्टँडर्ड लँग्वेज काय असते? आयडियलाइज्ड ऑफिशियल लँग्वेज फॉर एज्युकेशन अँड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग. आणि डायलेक्ट्स आपण पाहिलेले आहेत. देन अजून एक बघा. ओके, दिस इज अबाउट स्टँडर्ड लँग्वेज. इट इज अ पर्टिक्युलर व्हरायटी ऑफ अ लँग्वेज विच इज ॲक्सेप्टेड बाय द मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्पीकर्स. It is used in newspapers, textbooks, dictionary and education and broadcasting. इथं या स्टँडर्ड लँग्वेजचा वापर केला जातो. म्हणजे कोणत्याही कंपनीचे अहवाल बघा मराठीत लिहिलेले, किंवा मराठीतले मॅगझिन्स, न्यूजपेपर्स बघा, यू विल फाइंड पुणे मराठी इन इट. यू विल नॉट फाइंड एनी अदर व्हरायटी यूज्ड इन टेक्स्टबुक्स, न्यूजपेपर्स इन मराठी. This is about regional dialects, social dialects, etc. Then isogloss. ओके, आता अजून एक डिफरन्स बघा. डायलेक्ट वर्सेस लँग्वेज. डायलेक्ट कशाला म्हणायचं आणि लँग्वेज कशाला म्हणायचं. वेन डज अ डायलेक्ट बिकम अ लँग्वेज. वेन इज अ लँग्वेज बॉर्न. इंटेलिजिबिलिटी. ज्यावेळी दोन व्यक्ती एकमेकांची भाषा समजू शकत असतील किंवा एकमेकांचं बोलणं, एकमेकांची लँग्वेज समजून घेत असतील, इंटेलिजिबिलिटी, देन दे आर स्पीकिंग डायलेक्ट. दे आर नॉट स्पीकिंग टू डिफरंट लँग्वेजेस. देन हिस्टॉरिकल रिलेशनशिप बघा आणि पॉलिटिकल कन्सर्न्स. नाव यू सी Urdu and Hindi are two separate languages. Okay, Urdu is very close to Hindi or Hindi is very close to Urdu, but you cannot say Urdu and Hindi or Hindi is a dialect of Urdu. It is because Urdu has its own system of pronunciation, morphology, grammar, etc. The only difference is Urdu and Hindi are quite identical. They are similar, but they are considered as separate languages because of political concerns. Urdu is maybe an official language of Pakistan, and Hindi is one of our official languages. So, of course, mm, uh, an Urdu speaker will easily understand Hindi, vice versa. A Hindi speaker will also understand Urdu easily, but they are considered as separate languages because of political reasons. Okay, we stop here today. Tomorrow I shall deal with language contact and I shall talk about lingua franca. I shall talk about pidgins, creoles, and I shall also deal with code switching and code mixing. I hope you have understood today's concept of standard language and non-standard language. We stop here. Thank you.